This is obviously just hugely breaking, and also just demonstrates why Meghan Markle was such a horrific choice as a spouse for Harry, basically in every way.
It's ghoulish. That's the only word that can explain Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sharing a private picture of their so-called private children, Archie and Lily, on their so-called private vigil to lay flowers at Princess Diana's grave for the first time. No.
Lots of photographs of Meghan, Harry and the kids back in the UK, which I would suggest is something of a reneging on the deal to keep this trip private.
Meghan Markle leaks Diana Grave photo after secret UK reunion. After all the blackout and protect the kids talk, she posted the one picture that turned Diana's resting place into another headline. No paparazzi, no palace leak, just Meghan deciding the moment was worth more as content than as a private memory. And the internet is not letting it slide.
That it was her who was never going to release pictures of the children with King Charles. It was her who's so determined to protect their privacy.
Here. So, Archie and Harry, because they're the boys, I guess, are forced to carry huge bouquets of flowers. This is at Althorp.
For years, Harry and Meghan have argued that their biggest battle was simple: control over their own lives. They said they wanted freedom from cameras following their every move, freedom from strangers capturing their children, and freedom from a system where private family moments could become public entertainment.
This is the same woman who has just spent the past 4 weeks gaslighting us about how, of course, she would never release a picture of the children with the king.
Being photographed by the daughter-in-law. And what's really disgusting about this is think of how Diana died, by being photographed. In part. It wasn't entirely that part, but the last thing Diana may have seen in her life is flashes from cameras.
But this time, something unusual happened. They actually got what they said they wanted. Because when Harry and Meghan returned to Britain for this quiet family visit, the usual chaos never came. There were no airport pictures, no photographers waiting outside a hotel, no leaked images of them moving between locations, no dramatic headlines about every step they took. The British press, the same media they have criticized for years, did not get the images many expected them to chase. And that is where the situation became complicated. Because this visit proved something that has been debated for years. A private royal appearance was possible. A famous couple could enter Britain, move around, and spend time with family without every single moment becoming a public spectacle.
But of course, the priority is protecting the children. Well, we can see the children. We can see the children at actually their most intimate moments.
It's just terrible. They are so full of nastiness and getting their own feelings back on everybody.
The cameras stayed away. The questions stayed unanswered. The details stayed hidden. For Harry and Meghan's supporters, that could be seen as proof that their concerns about privacy were valid. They were finally able to spend time with family without being surrounded by a media storm. But for critics, this created a completely different question. If privacy was finally achieved, why was it broken from inside the family itself? Because the moment that changed everything did not come from a photographer hiding behind a fence. It did not come from a newspaper leak. It came from a choice to share. But that is where the story took a surprising turn. The people who stayed silent were not the ones who ended the secrecy.
I think this is really about Meghan trying to shore up her own image as just a sweet mom with her kids and her husband on a European family vacation.
I just don't understand how Harry could want to do this. This is for his mother, who he loves.
That was the moment the story changed. Because the biggest surprise was not that Harry and Meghan had visited Britain, it was that the first real glimpse of that private trip came from their own side. The image appeared as part of a larger collection of personal photos, the kind of moments people usually share after a family holiday. There were ordinary snapshots mixed throughout. Travel memories, family moments, relaxed scenes that showed a side of life away from royal duties and public pressure. On the surface, it looked familiar, a couple sharing carefully chosen pieces of their private world. But then, viewers noticed one image that felt different from the rest. It showed Harry and Archie walking along a green path, carrying what appeared to be flowers. Reports began linking the location to Althorp, the Spencer family estate, where Princess Diana grew up and where she is buried. And instantly, the meaning of the image changed, because this was no longer just another holiday picture. The connection to Diana transformed a simple family moment into something far more emotional. For Harry, Diana has always been one of the deepest parts of his personal story. His relationship with his mother, her death, and the way he views the media have all shaped many of the decisions he's made throughout his adult life. But this is where the controversy becomes more complicated. The photograph did not show Diana's grave. It did not prove exactly where Harry and the children were going. The reason for the visit was never publicly confirmed. Those details matter. Yet in stories involving the royal family, symbolism often becomes just as powerful as facts. A path, flowers, Harry's children, Diana's estate. Those details were enough to send the internet into a debate almost immediately.
I think it's deeply wrong and it's very hypocritical.
Diana's brother, the Earl, had said no cameras. And by that, he meant no camera crews. But he clearly didn't mean a camera phone.
It's very rude to Diana, it's very rude to the Queen, it's very rude to everyone. It's an obsession, isn't it?
Supporters saw a meaningful family memory, a father sharing a connection between his children and their late grandmother. Critics saw something else. They questioned why such a personal moment needed to be shared publicly at all. And that is why this one picture created such a massive reaction. But the biggest reason this image exploded was not the picture itself. It was everything Meghan and Harry had said about privacy before it appeared.
Using the kids again for promotional reasons whilst protesting they want privacy for their children.
Came here to take pictures from that. I'm sure that's the only reason they wanted to come. Not to see the king, not to see anything else, but to be able to go to Althorp and take photographs.
That was the part many people could not ignore. The photo itself created questions, but the bigger issue was the message behind it. Because for years, privacy has not just been a preference for Harry and Meghan, it has been one of the main battles they have built their public story around. From the beginning of their relationship, the couple has argued that they wanted something most public figures struggle to achieve: control over their own personal lives. They said they wanted to protect Archie and Lilibet from the same intense media attention that Harry experienced growing up. They argued that their children should not become public property simply because of their parents' status. They wanted the ability to decide when, where, and how their family was seen. And that argument is not difficult to understand. Most parents want control over their children's images. Most families want some moments that belong only to them. But the criticism that followed the Althorp photo focused on a different question. Where does privacy end and control begin? Because critics argued that privacy cannot simply mean keeping moments hidden until the timing benefits the person sharing them. They questioned whether the couple wanted true privacy or whether they wanted complete control over who gets access, when the story appears, and how the public receives it. That is the tension at the center of this entire controversy: privacy versus control. The same action can look completely different depending on where someone stands. Supporters might say Meghan was sharing a meaningful family memory on her own terms, exactly as she has always said she wanted. Critics see a contradiction. They argued that after years of criticizing others for showing interest in their private lives, the Sussexes still choose to reveal deeply personal moments when it supports their own message. And that is why this debate became bigger than one Instagram post, because people were not only reacting to a photograph, they were reacting to years of statements, interviews, documentaries, and arguments about who should have the right to tell the story. But this debate became even more emotional when people looked beyond Meghan and focused on the person at the center of the image, Princess Diana. That is what made this image different from every other family photo. It was never really just about a path, a bouquet, bouquet or a quiet moment between a father and his children. The reason people reacted so strongly was because the picture was connected to Diana. Althorp is not just another location connected to the royal family. It is where Diana's story began, long before she became Princess of Wales. It is the Spencer family estate where she spent part of her childhood, a place tied to her family history, and the location where she was laid at rest. For many people, that makes it an incredibly personal place, and for Harry, the connection is even deeper. Diana has remained one of the strongest influences in Harry's public identity. His memories of losing his mother, his criticism of the media, and his desire to protect his own children have all been connected back to the experience of growing up as Diana's son. Over the years, Harry has spoken openly about her life and death. He has shared memories, discussed the impact of losing her, and often framed his decisions through the lessons he believes came from her experience. But that is also where comparisons with William appear. William has spoken about Diana too, but he has generally taken a quieter approach to his grief. He tends to keep his personal memories away from the center of public attention, especially when it comes to places and moments connected to his mother. And that difference matters because it creates a larger debate. Some people believe Diana's legacy should be remembered through sharing stories, keeping her memory alive, and allowing future generations to know her. Others believe certain moments connected to her should remain untouched, away from public discussion and online attention. That is why the Althorp image created such a strong reaction. People were not only debating whether a photo should have been posted, they were debating what Diana's memory represents, who gets to share it, and whether some places should remain personal, no matter how famous the people involved are. But the biggest questions were not only about Diana, they were about trust and whether the royal family believed private moments could stay private. But this is where the photo became about something much bigger than a single Instagram post. Because inside the royal family, the most valuable thing has never been attention. It has always been trust. Private family meetings only work when everyone believes the conversation will stay inside the room. That is especially true for a family where every sentence can become a headline, every disagreement can become a global story, and every personal moment can be analyzed by millions of people. For years, one of the biggest concerns surrounding Harry and Meghan has been whether private moments would remain private. Critics have pointed to past situations where conversations, family disagreements, and personal experiences later appeared in interviews, books, documentaries, and public statements. Supporters argue that Harry and Meghan have the right to explain their own experiences and tell their side of the story. But from the perspective of royal observers, the problem is not simply what was said, it is the fear that anything shared behind closed doors could eventually become part of a larger public narrative. And that is why this photo brought old concerns back to the surface. Commentators began asking a simple question. If the Sussexes were given a private opportunity to reconnect with family, could everyone involved trust that the moment would stay private afterward? That question matters because the royal family has always relied heavily on silence. Not every disagreement becomes public. Not every emotional conversation becomes a statement. A large part of the institution's survival has depended on keeping certain moments away from the outside world. The palace rarely responds to every accusation or every headline. Instead, it often chooses distance, quiet, and careful communication. That approach can frustrate people who want answers, but supporters of the system argue that silence prevents private family issues from becoming even bigger public battles. And now, this image has reopened that old debate, because the real controversy is not just about where the photo was taken or who appeared in it. It is about what the photo represents. And then came the part that made critics look at the photo differently. They started asking whether this was simply a memory or something much more calculated. And this is where the debate became impossible to ignore, because once the emotion around Diana entered the conversation, people stopped asking only, why was this photo shared? And started asking the harder question, what was this photo meant to do? That question follows Harry and Meghan everywhere, because their public image has always been built around controlling their own story. They have created a different kind of celebrity life, one where personal moments are not just memories, they can also become messages. A family photo can show warmth. A private video can explain their side of a story. A personal detail can change the way millions of people view them. That does not automatically mean every shared moment has a hidden motive, but it does explain why critics study these decisions so closely. Over the years, Harry and Meghan have used personal footage and private moments in documentaries documentaries and interviews to give audiences a closer look at their lives. Supporters see that as taking back control from a media system they believe treated them unfairly. Critics see something different. They argue that the couple rejects unwanted attention while still understanding the power of carefully chosen attention. And that is why the Althorp image became such a major talking point. Some people saw a father introducing his children to a meaningful part of their family history. They saw a mother sharing a rare glimpse of a personal memory involving their children and their grandmother. Others saw a carefully selected image that connected three powerful ideas at once: Harry, Diana, and the royal family. The truth is, nobody outside their inner circle knows the exact reason that photo was included. There is no confirmed evidence that it was created for commercial reasons or as a part of a larger project, but suspicion exists because of the history surrounding the couple and the way they have handled private moments in the past. That is what makes this controversy so powerful. The same image can be viewed in two completely different ways. To one side, it's a meaningful family memory. To the other, it's another example of selective privacy, where personal moments become public only when the timing feels right. But after the headlines faded, one question remained. What does this mean for the future of Harry and Meghan's relationship with the royal family? But now that the headlines have exploded, the biggest question is what happens next? Because in royal conflicts, the loudest reactions are often the ones you never hear. The palace is unlikely to release a dramatic statement or publicly explain how they feel. That is rarely how royal disagreements play out. Instead, they often appear through distance, fewer invitations, and a careful decision about who gets access to private moments. And that is why this photo may matter beyond the image itself. For Harry and Meghan, they still have the power to tell their own story. They can decide what parts of their lives the public sees and what stays hidden, but the question is whether others will trust them with moments they consider private. Because in the end, this controversy was never only about a picture at Althorp. It was about something much harder to repair: trust. So, what do you think? Was this a meaningful family memory that people are judging too harshly? Or did this prove that privacy only matters when someone else controls the camera? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more royal stories and tell me where you stand. I'm Jane Expose, and I'll be here waiting for you with the next story when another moment like this takes over the headlines.